drag racing fan, Between the Slicks, as I say, the most diverse drag racing talk show that is out there live right now. And thank you for watching. Those of you that are already watching, hey, be sure if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Periscope, Twitter, or Facebook, hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section right now. Say hello. Tell me you're looking forward to the show, or get ready to chat with our guest tonight, Jay Warren, NC Promoder. We'll hear from him what he's got going on right now, what he's done in the past, what he is looking forward to in 2021. And we've got TJ York, the B-Gas champion of the Southeast Gasser Association, on tonight as well, later on in the broadcast. Before we take a first break and bring our first guest on, let me say thank you to strutmasters.com. Check them out. Definitely, if you are having your luxury ride let you down and riding low, get that coil conversion kit for your car from strutmasters.com. Not only that, I said this on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Drag racing fan, have you ever noticed it doesn't seem like consumer brands seem to jump into the pool of drag racing sponsorship? You look into NASCAR right now. There's M&M's. There's Bass Pro Shops and Tracker Boats. And it seems like an odd range of sponsors getting into stock car racing. And then you look at drag racing, and it's this circle of automotive sponsors from Peak, Advanced Auto, other performance parts. Drag racing fan, buy what is in drag racing. Buy the few consumer items that are in drag racing and use the power of social media. As you are popping the top on that Monster Energy, let them know you're doing it because you're a drag racing fan. Or, for example, Justin Ashley, he just dropped a brand new sponsor with a coffee company that also produces, of all things, oat milk. They're out of New York. Well, look, go get some if you can in the Menards and Kroger stores and say, hey, I've heard about this new sponsorship and I wanted to try it. Why? Because of drag racing. Show the world that drag racing fans are some of the, if not the greatest drag racing fans out there. Show them through the power of social media, folks. Speaking of social media, let's get social on the show right here Between the Slicks with Jay Warren, NC Promoder, coming up right now after this word from Hero Soap Company. Hero Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils-infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Hero Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom clean. All right, Mr. NC Promoder, Jay Warren, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Lee, how you doing, Mr. Monday Morning Racer? Thanks so much for having us on tonight.
Man, look, it is a pleasure to have you. Really appreciate what you're doing in the sport of drag racing. Look, let's dive in. NC Promoder. So, your platform, where can people find it? How can they follow you? How can they see what you're doing, man?
We do have a website, www.ncpromoder.com. Unfortunately, it's something I built myself. It's not the greatest. Our main platform of social media is on Facebook at NC Promoder Co. Also on Instagram, NC Promoder. Do have a Twitter account that we don't use. So we're mainly on Facebook. We do have a YouTube channel that we do upload some videos on occasionally. We're trying to branch more into the YouTube market in the 2021 season. So maybe we can get enough views and followers to get a little paycheck every month.
Right, man. You know, you are doing a stellar job on your live streams. Clue folks in that may not be familiar with you. Your live streams, what are they about? What do they entail? What can they expect from viewing Jay Warren, NC Promoder, at a drag race?
Most every drag races, every qualifying rounds, we'll usually do some practice on some photography work. We try to upload several hundred images every week of pretty much every car that's on the property or event. And then once the racing action's starting, with the blessing of most tracks, we're able to live stream from the starting line if cell signal allows. We do have multiple coverage partners. We're able, with the capabilities we have, to stream their logos on the bottom. Big supporter of the Piedmont Big Dog Series at Piedmont Dragway. Big supporter of anything at Darlington Dragway. Of course, Galot Motorsports Park is my home base. We follow a lot of the PDRA racing action. They were actually generous enough to give us our break in the drag racing media world, and I'm in debt. What I will say, I'm indebted to them forever for that break to get started there. That taught me a lot about myself and a lot about covering the sport of drag racing. So shout out to the PDRA for the great times. I'm looking forward to making a few events in 2021. So we just try to stream the action for the people to see. My biggest goal is to get people to come to the racetrack. I mean, not watch them on a live feed, but it really makes me feel good, especially at Piedmont Dragway, when people travel over on our Thursday night Big Dog Series and say, we saw the videos, we had to come. So that's one of the big things for me is not to take away from fans coming to the racetrack, but to actually help the promoter and the event get more people in the stands.
Johnny, I see you, man. Yes, repping the PDRA tonight. And as Jay has said, look, the PDRA, I think they've got it going on. They've got some good things ahead of them if they can keep it rolling for sure. Thank you, Champ, for watching tonight. Jay, look, talk to me a little bit about the Big Dog shootout there in Piedmont. I hadn't got to any of them yet. That seems to be a rather historical group. They've been around for a while doing that thing. What type of cars are we talking about down there, and how close is the racing action?
Well, you know, Piedmont Big Dog Series was originally started as a streetcar shootout, and then it entailed its way all the way up to a full-blown Pro Mod Series when legend promoter Bob Harris was in charge. But due to the cost of running a Pro Mod, the time frame and all, we've scaled it back. I believe it's a 5-inch bore space limit with nitrous restrictions and weight limits. Jason Harris and Brian Schrader pretty much dominated the class this season. Schrader set a new track record at a 387, 187, I think. And Jason Harris was just unbelievably dominating, taking 3 of the 4 first events. He was the first one to get in the low 90s, and I know he wanted the record. Both of them support different power plants. Jason Harris with a Billy Albert racing engine. Brian Schrader's a dedicated Gene Fulton man. They're just Big Dog's where it's at. Most time we have an 8-car shootout. It's a qualified field, and there's usually a less than a tenth of a second between the number 1 qualifier and the number 8 car. And the unique thing about the Piedmont Big Dog Series is it doesn't go on the ladder right before first round. We draw chips, so you got to come up there ready to run. You may run the number 1 guy. You may run the number 8. Last season, it seemed like Travis Harvey, and Brian Schrader were just all over each other at the beginning of every race, which it did factor out into the point series. They kept beating up on each other, knocking them out. So when you come to the racetrack, and if you can make the Big Dog field, you got to be prepared to run the number 1 guy first round, or you might not see him till the end of the round. It's a little unique atmosphere to add something different to the race. It's almost like a no-time shootout, but they are showing time. So forever grateful to everybody, the Cynical family, and everybody at Piedmont Dragway for letting NC Promoder come up there and make drag racing greater.
You mentioning that, make drag racing greater, or making drag racing great again. You've been throwing that around for a little while. I've got to ask, what do you mean by that? What is it that NC Promoder is trying to do to bring back to drag racing, or at least showcase it where it is great?
Well, it was all started, was involved in drag racing in the early 80s with a dear friend of mine, Aubrey Elliott, fantastic super pro racer out of Lynchburg, Virginia. Went with him several seasons, track championships, Eastside Speedway, big wins, New London Drag Strip, big money wins, Suffolk Dragway one night. Worked with him for several years, and then got married, got older, moved out of town. Probably didn't go to a drag race for 15 or 20 years. And then my youngest son, Cole, which is his birthday today. Happy birthday, Cole. We needed something to do, so I took him to the racetrack, and I just fell in love with the sport all over again in 2013, 2014. Galot Motorsports Park was just newly renovated, and they were starting the Mad Mule Series, which was a fantastic pro mod race on Thursday nights. So we started going down there more, got a little bit involved with the PDRA, and I guess the icing of the cake was, I believe it was a Super Chevy show in late 2015. Went down there. It was a kind of a light car crowd, pro mod wise, but I hung out with Rent Man Racing. Bubba the Burner Turner was driving, so kind of gone to enough races, figured the whole deal out, snuck up to the starting line with him, and Bubba fired that supercharged entry up and blew methanol all over me, and then spit rubber all over me. And from that day forward, I was totally hooked on pro mod drag racing. And I just really felt like those racers, crew guys, and sponsors needed somebody to showcase their efforts and work and not ask for anything in return.
Well, man, you're doing it. You're definitely showcasing the talents. And that's not to take away that you're doing some talented things yourself in exposing and getting the photos. I mean, I myself, you look at my profile picture on Facebook, it's one of your photos. You're doing a fine job with the streams and the photos yourself. Let me ask you this. Let me sit in the role of big bad promoter, big bad track owner. Jay, you want to come in here and you want to show people live streams and take people away from my stands and my ticket count and making money. Jay, someone says that to you as a promoter, as a track owner. What do you say back? What's your thoughts?
I certainly understand their thought. As I said earlier, it's never our intention to take away the revenue stream from the track. But, you know, if we're able to provide coverage of a race, we finally have an audience, which I will say is a worldwide audience, multiple continents across Europe, Asia, Australia, all over the world. You know, I think we do more good than harm, but I do get their point. And, you know, it's a catch-22. Me and you spoke about this the other day off camera. You know, I just try to persuade them and say that we can showcase your racetrack, try to get more people to come. Some promoters buy in and some don't. You know, sometimes we just have to do some filming and put up videos later. But, you know, Piedmont Big Dog's a prime example of that. I'll look around. If I feel like there's a decent crowd, then I'll live stream a lot. If the crowd's a little weak, then I'm going to have to wait and hope people will continue to come, because I need the racetracks to make money. They need to make money so they can pay the competitors a little bit more prize money. It's a catch-22 balance. You know, we've heard that whole live stream a lot, as you talked about just a minute ago about the photographers. I didn't start this business to be a photographer, but I think I'm on my fourth camera. I bought about the best one that my wallet will allow me to buy now, and I'm looking at a new lens. And if cameras tell a story, it allows me to stand on the racing surface all day long and watch runs, not necessarily video them. But, you know, a lot of the lower, don't want to disrespect anybody, but a lot of the lower level competitors never get their cars flashed across the internet. And that's something I take pride in doing, is taking pictures of the lower level classes and letting those guys share those images with their family and friends. And some of them even have sponsors they share with.
Right, man. And look, I commend you for doing that. It's something that is in my own line of thinking and within line of my heart, because, you know, when I go to the NHRA national events, look, if I get to talk to big names, fine. But I like talking to the Alex Milodanoviches and the Chris Morels and the Paul Weisses, these guys that are running programs, that they're professional programs, but they might just show up to one or two or just part of the season. And I think they have great stories, and their stories need to be told just as much as a Brittany Force, just as much as a John Force, just as much as an Antron Brown. And people need their stories out there. There's people out there fighting tooth and nail to just go bracket racing. They've got great stories, and we need to get those stories out. And you're definitely doing that. Thank you, man, in here in the Carolinas and beyond. Talking about beyond, roughly, what's the expectations for 2021? What are your thoughts schedule-wise?
2021, we're looking to kick our season off the end of this month at Bradenton Motorsports Park for the U.S. Street Nationals, one of the biggest races of the year. Thanks to everybody down there for granting us media privileges. E3 Extreme's in charge of that. Looking forward to working with the park. Although that is a flow race and speed video deal, will be a little it's tough. I will be a little handcuffed as far as live feed and go, but I've got some new ideas I'm looking forward to trying out in 2021, doing some more behind the scenes work, interviewing drivers and crews, talking about some rule changes, looking at new cars. I've always been a little hesitant of shoving a camera in someone's face in the first couple of years, but I do think that we're widely respected enough now that we'll get a lot of support from a lot of racers that if we want to walk up and do a video with them, whether it's live or whether it's something we can record to educate the fans, to showcase the great products which they represent. And that's something I want to put some more emphasis on in 2021 because we can't live stream everything with Flow Racing being there, and they do a great job. A lot of people are on the fence about the paid subscription. I must say I was, but we did download the Flow Racing app on my smart TV, and I can watch any kind of racing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're thinking about that, there's more than just drag racing on Flow Racing app. So at the end of the day, that's a pretty good investment, and we've enjoyed it a lot. A lot of times we're at the racetrack. We're fortunate enough to have a very small RV, or a pull-behind camper, I should say, and we'll sit there and actually watch the race at the racetrack. So it's a good app. I encourage you to buy it. They do bring some money and help up those payouts in some of the larger classes. So be thinking about that way you spend your $600 that you just got. They could use it.
Spend it on drag racing. Spend it on racing, and nothing wrong with that. You mentioned, shoving a camera in someone's face, and you growing this thing. I mean, you're near 10,000 likes over that number in followers on Facebook. You definitely got a following. You definitely have a lot of numbers watching your live streams. How long has it taken to build the rapport with those in the pits? What were some situations you went through of being recognized and being thought of, hey, this guy's worth giving our time to?
Well, I think the first couple of years we were tested, some things were told to us in confidence, and I know they were told to see if they would ever come out. If a racer tells me something in confidence, I'm not going to tell anyone. Everybody was very receptive when we started, but there was some reservation and some doubt. He's got to be up to something. He wants something. What's his inside scoop? But I think we have proved ourselves to the other media organizations, to all the event promoters, to the racers, that we just a genuine caring person that just loves the sport of drag racing. I guess it was a midlife crisis mode for me. I was an avid fisherman, an avid hunter, an avid golfer, and started struggling at all of the above and needed something to do different, and just decided I wanted to spend my every waking moment other than in my real career chasing drag racing. We made 40 plus events last year. We do have some partners that I'd like to talk about in a few minutes, but there was some criticism. There was some good, but like you said, you just have to ignore the criticism. People said it would never work, but we're going into year 5 stronger than ever. Got a great team of people behind us. We're hoping to maybe get a photographer to work with us some to free me up to do some other things. So 2021 is just, if COVID doesn't kill the racing series, it should be our best year ever.
Man, that is good to hear that you've got such high hopes for 2021 and how things have advanced. Now, you've mentioned tonight Piedmont Dragway, Galat Motorsports Park. I've got to ask, in the Carolinas, being NC Promoder, what hidden gem of a drag strip is there that people need to pay a visit to that they might not have heard about or that they might not have ever been to?
Well, that's an ultimate goal of mine, is to get to every drag race in the state of North Carolina. They're all unique. I want to say Farmington Dragway is one of my favorite places in Farmington, North Carolina. It's situated in the middle of a farm. Mooresville Dragway down in Mooresville, great place. Been up to Roxborough Dragway, worked with them. They actually invited me up to help showcase one of their events. We had a very good following that day. I'm hoping we can work with them some more coming up in 2021 for some classes they got. I mean, they encouraged me to buy a printer and come up there and sell pictures because they needed someone, an on-site photo sales guy. So we're going to try to do that. That's a hard way to make a living, but at the end of the day, it's all about showcasing your brand and showing people you appreciate the support they give you and trying to return as many favors as possible. And Kinston Dragway, I can't forget about the 252 list down at Kinston Dragway. Unfortunately, that's always competing with the Piedmont Big Dog Series. But anytime I can get down there on Saturday, they're very loyal loyal supporter, very generous when we come. Make sure I have everything I need when I get in the gate. Got free range in the whole facility. So definitely thanks to everybody down there at Kinston Dragway when they make us feel welcome. You know, it's really nice to walk in some place and the guy knows you at the gate. He's glad you're there. The owner of the track's glad you're there. The announcers representing your brand over the loudspeakers. It's things like that makes that, you know, being outside 12, 16 hours a day, being gone all weekend, it just makes it worth it.
It really does. And I don't think people realize you are out there for a long time. You're out there just as long as anyone else, and you're out there much longer. You're there before, you're there at the end, and it's some long days, enjoyable days, but long days, and it is definitely helpful when someone that is in ownership or in promotion of the track appreciates what you're doing and does mention it. I mean, hey, getting a getting recognition from the tower is definitely nice. And hey, there's NC Promoder down on the line streaming live. Hey, there's Monday Morning Racer. And hopefully, with my case, it's not just get out of the way of the car with me looking like a big orange traffic barrel out there with my Strutmasters gear on. So, Jay, going around the Carolinas, going beyond, covering drag racing, you've been to a lot of tracks, obviously. What is a couple of areas? Give me a list that no matter what the track is, that tracks can improve on to make the fan experience that much better and get people to the track.
You know, I'm fortunate enough, a lot of facilities around here have fantastic concession stands and very clean restrooms, and they appreciate the average spectator coming in. Several of the tracks work really hard to try to control the prices where the working man can bring his whole family and not spend his whole paycheck and feel like they can have a good time. So, you know, I encourage everyone to try to maintain their costs, keep the gate fee as low as possible, and just provide the amenities. You know, there's nothing worse than going to a drag strip where you can't find a trash can. You know, Galot Motorsports, Piedmont, Darlington Dragway. Oh, I forgot to mention Darlington Dragway, one of my favorite racetracks. It's in South Carolina. They're very generous to me. We'll be kicking off our local season the end of February at Corey Spooled Media event. I know you were talking about going, so I hope we'll see you there. Control costs, make food reasonable, and get the kids involved some way or another.
I like that. Get the kids involved. And I would suspect you're also even talking about beyond like a junior dragster program. What are some things you've seen around that folks are doing to have the kids involved and connected into the racing program and possibly become race fans for the rest of their lives?
Well, I know my friends over at Team Extreme Auto Repair, the Golden Child, they had some up at Piedmont Dragway for one of Carolina No Time races. They had I think it was a foot race, a scooter race, and an electric vehicle race all for the kids. They gave out some nice trophies and prizes. So, you know, it's little things like that. Bicycles, letting the kids get in the cars, making them enjoy their thing instead of tugging on their parents' arm and saying, I want to go, it's hot, I'm hungry, it's loud. You know, little things like that. I thought that was really cool when the Golden Child, he's a grudge racer with a beautiful gold Mustang. He put that event on. I think there was a Power Wheel Derby is what it was. You know, kids from 3 to 10, they were all just having a good time. I was able to get some pictures of that. I was up there that day, and they gave them nice participation trophies. The winner got a trophy, so everybody had a good time.
Definitely. I think amenities such as that, programs like that, are important to tracks. Yes, we go there for racing, but we are still human, and there's more that happens than racing. I was impressed. Wilkesboro Dragway, they have like a pool room and an arcade, and I was like, their concessions was very nice. So yeah, you hit it all. You got to have good concessions at a good price to get in, and clean restrooms. Just give me that, and I'm happy. Give me that, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, you can't price things out. I mean, I know you're fortunate enough to attend a lot of NHRA events, and I feel that's one of the things that hurts your average person from going to NHRA. The ticket cost is extremely high. They're going to get you to park. All the hotels inflate the room rates when NHRA is in town. It's really hard for a working man to attend a national event like that and not feel like that he can't bring his whole family.
It really is, and it's something that I do think the NHRA has got to work on, possibly some better packages. Granted, I will say in their defense, you look at trying to take your family to an NFL football game compared to a NHRA drag race. Look at trying to take them to a NASCAR race. They just might be the highest ticket in drag racing, as it were, right now, definitely. But there are some tracks that are way more reasonable than others. Going
Yes.
to Pomona, going to Pomona is going to hurt. I can tell
Yeah.
you from experience. Parking is $15, and it is the farthest parking I have ever walked in my life for a drag race. So, yes, it can definitely. I like to look at it this way. It is a high price ticket, most meets with the NHRA, but make at least the parking free. Figure that out some way, somehow. And I love what the ADRL is doing. You know, it's $20 a carload. That's a pretty good way to do it.
Yeah, they got a little bit different business model than a lot of organizations. I guess Kenny Nolan's always been a great promoter. He gets a lot of sponsorship involved to cover the prize money. So when you cover the prize money and you can cover the lease of the facility, you can let people in for free and make money on concessions and souvenir sales. And everybody's it's a win-win advantage. And that is, I hope to get to an ADRL event maybe in St. Louis this year. We're been pretty fortunate so far. We've had a very good early season of fundraising to try to get out. As many of you know, the first 2 years solid, I ran this whole deal out of my back pocket. I don't even want to tell you how much money I spent the first 2 years. I'll just tell you this. I could have bought an 8-second bracket car, and when I got done with the last year, I could have been running 470s for the amount of money I spent.
Right. You know, people don't realize what it does take to go and try and cover these events. You know, the first year I did Monday Morning Racer, I slept in my car. I ate bologna sandwiches. I had enough for the motel room, get to the track, and take my lunch in the track, and maybe have, you know, well, I always tried to budget the big lemonades. I love the big lemonades. I always had enough for one big lemonade. And, you know, people don't realize it does cost. And like you mentioned, look, going to the NHRA, if it wasn't for strutmasters.com, wouldn't be doing as much as I'm doing. So we definitely have got to have help and support to do this, folks. That's why it's important. When you're seeing Jay streaming live, hit that like button. When you're seeing Between the Slicks, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channels on YouTube, and let people know about what is happening. Jay.
Yes, sir.
Tell us, who do you need to say thank you to, man?
I wrote it down because I always seem to forget somebody. I was blessed last year with a plethora of coverage partners for one event, for the whole thing. So my longest coverage partner run the last 3 years, and I look for them to come back in 2021. Gopher Utilities, affordable transmissions out of Chesapeake, Virginia, to Woods. They also own a beautiful 67 Pro Mod, a Mustang, I believe it is. So awesome group of guys. Hickory Enclosed Trailer, Racer Performance Motor Coaches. We're heading up there tomorrow to pick our RV up. They've done a considerable amount of work for it. I'm looking forward to getting it back. My friends down in Roanoke Rapids, Love's Performance, Leonard Love. If you need any kind of motor work, check those guys out. Of course, PD Fleet, the Millers, Darlington Dragway, very generous supporters of NC Promoder. One of our newest sponsors, the Raleigh Windwater Group over in Raleigh and Goldstone or Goldsboro, North Carolina, site development company. We got the nod from them because we were able to do our live streams without cussing and running around acting like a fool. Josh Anderson, fellow racer, A&N Holland. Can't thank them enough. And my buddy Ty Suggs, Raytech Machine Tools. Those are all our main sponsors. Of course, Strut Masters has been with us for a couple of years at our PDRA. My buddy Jamie over there at J&J Fabrications. M&M Transmissions picked us up last year for Big Dog. I'm pleased to announce that they'll be coming on as a full-time sponsor. We'll be able to represent those beautiful M&M transmissions, shifters, coolers, torque converters, you name it. Looking forward to working with Mark and his team. Performance Tees over there in Holly Springs, North Carolina. Stephen the guys, he's the official merchandise partner at Piedmont Dragway. And my buddy Steve Turner Painting came on board. And I got one sponsor that was with me for a couple of years, but didn't come back due to certain things. I'd like to give a shout out to the Kings and Player One Esports.
Well, man, look, I'm glad you've got all that support behind you, making it possible. Amen. That's great. That is great. And definitely looking forward to what NC Promoder is going to be bringing to all the drag racing fans out there in 2021. Jay, 2021 predictions. PDRA. Who wins the championship in Pro Boost? Who wins the championship in Pro Nitrous?
I can't call Pro Boost. I got to get a good feel of what, PDRA to Pro Boost. I believe that's sponsored by PRI and others. They allowing screw blowers in this year. I know Kurt Stedin and the P2 Racing Gang with Todd Tuttle in charge. They went down to, I believe it was U.S. Street Nationals in Bradenton last December and had those cars flying. Kurt ran 360 with a 0 or a 1 at 210. So we'll have to see how the screw blowers are going to do. I know some of the guys in the Roots Blower program are picking up. And, of course, that Pro Line Pro Charger combo was just unreal. Somebody's probably going to go 55, 56 at proper air conditions. Pro Nitrous, Jim Hosley's obviously the car to beat. He went 359 down there in Florida last month. But I know my buddy Jay Cox and the Pumpkin, Chris Reaney, Tommy Franklin, hopefully Edward Wilson in that beautiful car his is going to make a couple runs. The Woods, I mean, it's so hard to tell, from somebody chattering the tire in the first round and getting beat or just setting a national record. One thing about those classes at PDRA, if you can make the field, you can win the event.
Definitely good racing in the PDRA. Yes, it may only be eighth of a mile. I have a lot of chatter on my channel like, oh, eighth mile racing. Look, I love even it being 8th mile. I love my quarter mile drag racing, but what I like about 8th mile drag racing is you have to get it done as the driver at the line. You do not have that room for a top end charge. You've got to get it done on the line, and you've got to get it in the pro stock world on your shift points done to get to that finish line. So I definitely like that aspect. Well, let's talk a little bit on quarter mile. NHRA prediction. Who wins the championship in Pro Mod?
Gosh, Stevie Fast Jackson, could he three-peat? I love some of my local racers. Todd Tutterow, I'm hoping he'll make a quarter mile debut. Of course, there's no better. A great personal friend of mine that's been an avid supporter of us from day one is Ricky Smith up there. There was some said he was going to a Pro Charger combo. I'm not sure what the status of that is. We'll have that old 903 cubic inch Musi powered. I know he's got some new sponsors on board. SoCal, a digital marketing firm out of Raleigh, North Carolina, Capital Ford. So looking forward to see what Tricky Ricky can do. Brandon Snyder's a really good friend of mine. I enjoy watching him race. The Whiteleys, what can they say? They sponsored a class. I know they'd like to win some of their own money back. We're talking about NHRA. It's just hard to say. Well, that's another one. If he can win, Clint Satterfield, and it was what called the Turbo Pig. Now it's a Pro Charger car. We did actually get to go to a quarter mile event a couple years ago. West Buck's outstanding thing when it was out at Vandermeer Speedway in Colorado. That was unbelievable. Unfortunately, with the new Door Slammer Nationals down there at Orlando, that's a competing date with one of my hometown series, the Carolina Extreme Pro Mod Series. So I'm dedicated to those guys to be there and cover that and try to make drag racing greater with them and expose all those great sponsors right there at the Carolina Extreme Pro Mod Series at Darlington Dragway. We'll also be kicking off March 5th and 6th.
All right, man. Look, very quickly, give us the lowdown in the Carolinas. Where can people go to check out those 470 shootouts, those Pro Mod shootouts, and see good door slammer racing? Where are those places at, man?
Well, of course, Galot Motorsports Park, PDRA will be there. Hopefully they'll do a Mad Mule, which is their own in-house Pro Mod race. Starting the first Thursday in April, I believe, we'll be kicking off the big dog right there at Piedmont Dragway on Thursday night. Those cars aren't Pro Mods, but I'm telling you, when you watch them go down the 8th mile running 387 to 395, if the score clock was cut off, you would not know it was a Pro Mod. Fantastic competition. I understand there's several new builds coming. Jason Harris and Brian Schrader, they're ready to take on all competitors. So I'd love to see a couple supercharged entries there, go some rounds. Let's see, Farmington Dragway 470s. Of course, Mooresville Dragway down in Mooresville, North Carolina. Donnie Gibbs and them, they're the king of the 470s around this area. Let's see, 450 Index Racing will be at Darlington Dragway. I believe that's going to be sponsored by Buck Racing Engines. So, you know, Brooke Miller picked up a win in that. My buddy Vince Ricade Sr. picked up a win. I want to say Mr. Carpenter. I can't think of his first name. It's not Charles, but Kevin Carpenter is going to have his beautiful hot rod there. So looking forward to chasing those guys around. We are got a full plate of racing. I'm still working on my schedule. I was hoping to do 50 events last year. We did 41. I'm already lost 2 events this week. I had 2 things I wanted to do the last 2 weekends. I've been weathered out. So, you know, just go to your local racetrack, and if you like what you see there, go on up, take it up to the next level. Go to PDRA national event. You know, if you're watching across country, Midwest Pro Mod Series, ADRL, a lot of outlaw events down in Florida. Of course, 632 Outlaws becoming another very popular class. A lot of big tire racing. I do hope to do some small tire racing this year, and I'm even going no prep racing a couple times.
Hey, as long as it's racing, and in particular drag racing, it's good no matter what it is. Jay, look, thank you for, in your own way, making drag racing great again, as you say. One last time before we let you sign off, tell people where can they find you.
NC Promoder, main source of social media, right there on Facebook. At NC Promoder, they even say it on the back of the hat. Look it up. We're also trying to do more on Instagram. It's hard to do. I work full time for a living, and I'm trying to stay married and make everybody happy. I can't thank my wife enough. Not many people's husband will come home when he's 50 years old and say, "Oh, I'm starting a Facebook page and I'm going racing." They kind of chuckle, but I have the last laugh. So thanks to my whole family for supporting me and letting me be gone 40, 45 weekends a year. Sometimes they're with me, sometimes they're not. And thank you so much for having us on. You're great company over there at Strutmasters. Y'all do a lot in the racing world, especially drag racing. I know there's a lot of those decals on a lot of NHRA cars. And shout out to Johnny Placino, the champs watching. He is undefeated at my home park of Galot Motorsports Park. Looking forward to see if he can four-peat this spring.
There it is. Look, Jay, thank you for being on Between the Slicks. Take care, man.
Thanks, brother. See you soon.
All right, folks. Jay Warren, NC Promoder. Go check him out. He's also on YouTube. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram, as he said. There's a Twitter account, too. Go check it out. Just wherever he is, go follow him and keep up to date. Give you a great perspective on the world of drag racing wherever he goes. Up next, we've got TJ York, the BGAS Southeast Gasser Association champion for 2020, right after this word from FuelInjectorServices.com.
FuelInjectorServices.com. It's essential that your fuel injectors perform at their peak, whether you're in your daily driver or high horsepower race machine, for you to get the most out of your vehicle. At FuelInjectorServices.com, we maintain precision fuel injectors with cleaning and flow testing, as well as providing the sale of genuine brand name injectors. It can all be done at FuelInjectorServices.com, the home of Flowzilla, one of the largest injector test benches in the country. Check out FuelInjectorServices.com. Veteran-owned, racer-tested, aerospace refined.
Mr. York, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good, sir. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Man, it is an honor to have you on. Thank you for being on Between the Slicks with myself, the Monday Morning Racer. Well, first of all, congratulations on your championship. Very quickly, well, not quickly. Give me all the time. Take all the time you need, but give me the rundown of your 2020 championship run.
It was a pretty good season. We started off right there in Kentucky. Started off with a win. And then backed it up with another win there at Mooresville, and had a few more there through the season, and it just kept rolling pretty good. Just had some luck here and there, but the car ran good, and the program and the motor just stayed together, and we just had a really good season with the Southeast Gasser gang.
Doing it in the Southeast Gassers, I've got to ask, with having Spinny on recently for his A-Gas championship win. He's got a background in circle track racing. What's your background in racing? Was it other forms of drag racing? Is this you venturing out and doing racing for the first time, experiencing Southeast Gasser Association racing? For you in racing, where does it all begin, man?
I've kind of been born into it. My father and his racing partner, Jack Slagle, and my dad raced for multi-years. My dad started in 1955. So I was kind of born into it. Then I was raised with my dad and Jack Slagle, which is mentors to me, which I've learned a lot off of, taught me a lot of the ropes. They started off in Super Gas, Super Comp, and then moved into Super Stock, and then into Competition Eliminator. And then I started my racing career in Super Street, and then went from Super Street to Super Stock and ran Super Stock there for about 5-6 years. And then my oldest son, I started playing a lot of sports, so I kind of stepped away there for a few years. And then I started seeing the Southeast Gassers deal, and I told my dad, I said, hey, you want to give this one more shot? Let's see what we can do. And he said, sure, why not? So we built a car, and from there, this is where we are. But I've learned a lot off my father's, and my background and stuff was in Super Stock and then crewing on the Comp Eliminator car.
Comp Eliminator, you mentioned that. That's a tough class of racing. I've seen those guys that compete in it. It is tough, wide-ranging. How does the competition in the Southeast Gasser Association compare to those other classes, other forms of drag racing, such as Super Street, Super Stock, and Comp Eliminator?
The competition in the Southeast Gas Association is very tough. You got a lot of good teams, a lot of good drivers. It's tight. There is no give me rounds. A lot of tough teams, a lot of fast cars, a lot of knowledge in the sport. The 4 seed, that kind of separates the men from the boys. That was me, as I was always an automatic racer, so this was a newer deal for me. So I still got a lot to learn on the clutch and the 4 speeds, but it's tough competition. Anybody can win any given round, any given day. It's really good competition all the way from A-Gas to Super Stock. It's good. It's everybody. We're all good friends, but when we pull a start line, it's cutthroat.
Definitely, that is the way it ought to be. Friends in the pits, but get on the drag strip, and it's a different story. Fight it out and get the win light. Jerry Milidantry, hope I'm saying that correct. He says, great to see you, TJ. Howdy from Durham, Connecticut, and the Northeast Assassin Shop. So I got some people chiming in, many of them. Steve, Tom, Billy, others saying hello. Billy mentions this, TJ York, the baddest 55 of 2020, and also he's going ahead and add in 2021. So I do want to talk about your car real quickly. Let me bring it up. Let me make sure I've got the right one. Is that you right there in that 55?
Yes, sir. That's it.
All right, let me bring it in a little closer. Talk to me about your machine there, man.
It's a 1955 Chevrolet. It's got the stock frame underneath it. Then we got the 2x3 from the front firewall up. It's all chromoly. Pat Cronebetter at PK Race Cars built the car for me. It's just a good old race car. I mean, we got a lot of technology. We took a lot of our super stock technology and put into the car in the old style way that Quayne wants us to have. And then we got my new motor. The motor in the car is from Watson Rupel, Dave Watson and Keith Watson. It's based off a Comp Eliminator a little bit. We did a little bit of tricky stuff and put some knowledge that we had into it. Rick from CP Pistons and Jeff and Chris from One Way, they've been tremendous help with it. And we've really got a pretty good motor program going.
Very cool, man. It is a beautiful looking race car. How much work was put into this thing to make it look as stupendous as it does look?
Oh, Paul Vanderpool, man, he knocked it out of the park. Paul Vanderpool from Georgia, he was awesome. I didn't know what it was going to look like or anything. I gave it to him. I said, here you go, sir. I said, do everything you want to do to it. The only only two things that I want on it, I said, is it's got to say Fujimo on the trunk because my dad always had that on his race cars. And I said, there can't be no pink on it. Other than that, I said, you can do what you want to with it. I can't hear you.
I don't know. We must have lost you.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Now can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir, now.
All right, great. I saved the show because I had a cough coming up, and now I've cost the show because I had the mic on, and I'm running my mouth. Looks like some Godzilla movie. Godzilla. Anyway, let's get back to this thing. You've got a great-looking car there. He did some tremendous work getting that car to look like that. He did go all out. Greenhorn Hillbilly. Where in the world did you get a name like that and put on your car?
Well, my dad used to run a 56 Chevrolet in B-Gas, and it was called the Greenhorn Hillbilly. So when my dad's 82 years old, and when we decided to build this, I figured this would be our last hurrah with each other. So I wanted to pay tribute to him, so I named it the Greenhorn Hillbilly. So that's where that name come from. My father ran that back in the late 50s, early 60s on his 56 Chevrolet and B-Gas.
Man, that is cool. That is cool that your pops had that name back then, B-Gas. You're running B-Gas now with it. That is definitely cool to have that link there. I bet you kind of feel like you're reliving some of the things he did out there in the SEGA competition.
Oh, it's, my dad gets to go to about 4 of the races because he won't travel more than about 5 hours. But like this year, winning some of the races, it's just been tremendous. When we run one at our home track, which is about an hour and a half away from us, which was Killcare Raceway, my father and his racing partner, Jack SEGA, were both there. And that was just, that's a moment in my life probably will stick with me till I'm dead and gone. I was so honored to win that race with both of them there, and then to dedicate it to Jack Slagle's wife, Joanne Slagle, which I think rode with me a lot this year and helped me out. They've just been so much mentors in my life that they've taught me things the hard way, made me earn everything I got. When we raced, they raced together, and I raced with them. We didn't even park by each other. They didn't help me out. They made me learn to work on cars, drive the cars. They'd come over and give a little hints here and there. But I thought that, they didn't want me to do it. But now, older in life and seen it, they taught me how to drive a car and how to work on a car. And I think that really makes you a better driver when you know how to work on a car and be able to drive the car.
Definitely. Well, TJ, look, let me give a shout out to Justin Ashley real quick. He says, white cap and sunglasses, very swaggy tonight as usual. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'd look even better if I had some Rise Nitro cold brew coffee. Send some my way, Justin. Oh, now for you, TJ, getting a lot of love in the comments. Bethany here says, hey, Mr. TJ from the Chicken Bone team, Tom Motley. He says, hey, can I look inside your engine? I doubt that's happening. Danny mentions great car, better driver, and guy and family. Others saying that you're a top-notch guy. A lot of folks pouring out the love tonight. So you got a good fan base there, man. So I had Quayne Stott on the Competition Plus Power Hour on a Tuesday night along with my co-host Slammin' Sam, and he dropped the bombshell of the first of changes for the rules. So I got to ask, are you a shift light guy? Because you're not going to be if you were.
No, I don't. It's, you can watch my in-car cameras and my car and stuff, and a lot of times I'm either pulling it a little bit before the shift light comes on or a little bit after it. That's I drive by the seat of my pants. So with Quayne taking that shift light away, it's the only thing I use that shift light for is my burnouts. I'm pretty hard on a car in a burnout box, so I'll just have to calm down the burnouts a little bit. Other than that, I don't think it's going to affect me much at all.
Very good, very good. Now, you are racing in the Southeast Gasser Association. But you're not from the Southeast. Is there a little bit of an element of pride that you're whipping up on some Southern boys? And how do these guys down here below the Mason-Dixon line take it with you getting a championship?
Oh, you can't race with a better group of people. These they've accepted me very well. They've only called me a Yankee a couple times, but they treat me and my family very well. Great people. Like I said, it's the best racing in the world. We race against each other hard as we can, but we'll help each other out all we can. I mean, if somebody breaks and if somebody else has a part, you go into trailers, you get the part. If somebody else has it, you fix it. We don't want buy rounds. We like to get after each other and race against each other. It's a great group, and I love racing with them. You can't get no better people to race with. That's for sure.
Now, you mentioned KillCare being, in effect, your home facility. I've never been there. For folks who've heard about it, as myself, and it's on my list, but I haven't got to it. For those that might be on the fence of checking out KillCare, why should they go? Why should they participate? Why should they see it?
Oh, it's a great facility, really hard hooking track. It put up some good numbers for the Southeast Gassers. First year this year, fan base was phenomenal. It's a great facility. They still have stuff from the old time there, but then they redid all the track surface. It's just it's a great facility, and it's one of the good tracks in Ohio. I mean, I only live 15 minutes from National Trail Raceway. That's truly my home track, but it's just it's an awesome facility. And when you're not, if you want to see 1960s heads up gear jamming racing, you got to go to a Southeast Gassers race wherever you live. If we're close to you or within a couple hours, you got to make the drive. It's well worth it. You're not going to see no better heads up racing than the Southeast Gassers.
Definitely. You can see that on the YouTube channel for the Southeast Gasser Association. I've got some footage of the Southeast Gassers as well. It is stellar racing. In fact, a fan of mine and a friend, Darren Williams Jr., he lives on the West Coast. He has a YouTube channel called American Hot Rod Entertainment. He encountered the Southeast Gassers Association through my channel, and he's been following it ever since. I mean, it's so simple, but yet it's so good. And I've got to ask, with the competition that's there and the way it's set up, compared to like Competition Eliminator and Super Stock and Street Stock and Super Street, is there kind of a less of a burden to go out and race? Like, we just know these are the parameters and we just got to turn a wind light on, get there first, instead of being in any particular range or dialing anything in? Does it in fact make it, well, simpler to go race?
I don't think it makes it simpler. It's just, if you want to run heads up, it's probably the most affordable heads up racing you can go run. Quayne has got stringent rules that we got to go by, but just like me, I'm just an average guy. But he's got it set to, you can be a guy that makes $10,000 a year or a guy that makes $1 million a year. And the rules are set. You can come heads up racing and you could be competitive. And he keeps an eye on the motors. You know, all of us drivers, we kind of poke at him every once in a while and say, you're giving a little bit to this guy and a little bit more to this motor combination. But he's got it balanced out pretty good. And then if somebody starts running away with it, he looks at it and fixes it and then makes it backwards competitive. He don't want to see them guys running away a tenth and a half, 2/10 faster. I mean, he wants to see that neck to neck, put the driver back in it and see who can get to the finish line first.
For those that may not be familiar with the Southeast Gassers that are watching, maybe they're hearing it for the first time, whenever they may see this, they hear A gas, B gas, C gas, and you're the B gas champion. What does that mean? What does that letter B represent on the side of your car for the class?
Well, at B gas, our class, it's 8 pounds per cubic inch. So we got to weigh 8 pounds per cubic inch on our car. And then we got other rules, different intakes get a little bit of a weight break, different motor combinations, got a few different things, but it's A gas is 6 pounds per cubic inch. B gas is 8 pounds. And then C gas is 10 pounds per cubic inch. So, the motors range from small cubic inches in B gas, their motors all the way from 296 inches. And I think I'm probably the biggest one of the bigger motors in B gas at 378 inches. So.
All right. Well, look, I know the competition is tough in B gas. I've got to ask, though, as a drag racing fan, within your class, what is a make and model fitting the years, the era, the time frame that you'd like to see someone build and bring to the drag strip and put in competition?
Oh, I think in B gas, I like to see a 33 Willys come into B gas. We've kind of did a little bit of research on that and stuff, and we got some things in the plans. But I think a 33 Willys can make a pretty nice B gas race car and be pretty competitive with a little bit of oddball motor combination.
All right, 33 Willis. I'd like to see that in B gas as well. And that is something that's great, man. The Southeast Gassers Association has got some stellar cars throughout all of the classes, and apparently with what's coming up that Quayne has got planned. I'm curious if there was a drag strip out there that could be added. What would that drag strip, in your personal opinion, be?
Man, there's so many good strips. That's a tough question. He added Farmington this year, and I've heard so many good things, and I've never been to Farmington. So that would be one I'd say that I'd like to see added, and they added it to us this year. So I'm curious to see how that is. I've heard a lot of good things about Farmington, so that would have probably been my pick, but it is on the schedule this year.
Yeah, we just had Jay, NC Promoder, on, and he mentioned Farmington as well. I haven't been there. I've got to get there myself. I've heard great things about it. All right, TJ, man, look, who do you need to say thank you to for this championship in 2020?
Well, man, I got to give a big shout out. You know, the Spinny Gang helps me out a lot. I got to give a shout out to the CPPR boys. They stayed true and helped me out, and crew. And then all my sponsors, I got to thank Jegs Automotive for staying behind me and helping me out. Jack Slagle, WRP Dave and Heath at WRP Performance, Watson Rupel Performance, Tradition Over Trend, Scott Lieber at Scotch Rods, Steve Taylor at PRC Carbs. Steve Taylor's been great with me with my carbs and my intake. Jeff and Chris at One Way. Couldn't have did any of this without them. Got to give a big shout out to them. Pat and Andy Cronebetter at PK Race Cars. Sam Schaefer at Maverick Motors he changes all my slicks for nothing. Todd Hammond's a good friend of mine that helps out at the house. And I got to give a big shout out to Todd Napier, man. He straightened out my transmissions this year and got me doing good on my transmission. So I got to give a big shout out to Napier, to Tom McKillbilly, for helping me. Jason and Jaden, my nephew and cousin, for coming, man. I got to give them. They chased us all around there at the end of the world, and that's the people that I really got to give a shout out, and the fans of Southeast Gassers. Without the fans, we couldn't do anything about it. And the B Gas boys, the competition is just phenomenal. The old Birch boys and Wayne Swafford, I mean, we just beat on each other all year, and there's a lot of other ones too, but us three just beat on each other all year, and it's just I think it's really made it a great sport there. It's Southeast Gassers growing, and Quayne and them is really doing a heck of a job.
All right, TJ, before I cut you loose from being on Between the Slicks, look in that camera, and you tell your competitors, and you tell the fans, and you tell Quayne why in 2021 the man from Ohio is going to do it again in the Greenhorn Hillbilly.
We got some new motor stuff going on, and I think we're going to pick up enough on the motor stuff that we got going on. I'm kind of being quiet this winter. I ain't going to say too much, but I'm planning on being the first one to defend the championship and double up in Southeast Gassers.
Boom. There it is, folks. TJ York, the B-Gas Southeast Gassers champion for 2020, looking to do it again in 2021. TJ, man, thank you for being on Between the Slicks. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on, sir. I really do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Folks, well, there it is. That's been Between the Slicks. We had Jay Warren on, NC Promoder. Check him out on all the social media platforms. Give him a subscribe on YouTube. Please do so. And that was TJ York, the B-Gas champion of the Southeast Gasser Association. If you have not caught a Southeast Gasser race, go check out their 2021 schedule. You can already do that on their social media feeds. I also share much of what they post as well. You can find that news. Go check them out. You need to see that drag racing. Well, we're done running down the strip tonight here on Between the Slicks. Folks, I'm the Monday Morning Racer. Until next time, God bless and keep the pedal